Hey, thanks for connecting with NFN Radio News, brought to you by NotFakeNews.biz. I'm Bob Gaddy, founder and editor of Not Fake News. There are all sorts of rumblings now that some members of law enforcement, as well as some Republican members of Congress, could have helped that mob attack the U.S. Capitol January 6, when the vote to make Joe Biden's election official was being taken. Imagine what it must have been like with those mobsters smashing windows and breaking down doors to get in as you're hiding under a desk. How would you feel if you knew you were an actual target, like Vice President Mike Pence, who refused Trump's illegal request to simply declare him the winner? There were people out there calling for you to be hung, and they actually had built a gallows for that purpose. But the idea that some of your colleagues might have been involved in this, and some of the police who were supposed to protect you, well, apparently that's part of the story, and I guess we'll know more soon enough. So take a listen to Was the U.S. Capitol Attack an Inside Job? From NotFakeNews.biz. Could it possibly be that some Republican members of Congress are so demented that they conspired with the domestic terrorists who attacked the Capitol January 6th, threatening the lives of their colleagues and Vice President Mike Pence? There is increasing anecdotal evidence that this could be the case, and that those who planned and carried out the attack were also supported by some members of law enforcement who helped to facilitate their madness. It was announced today that internal investigators for the Departments of Justice, Defense, Interior, and Homeland Security will investigate how security officials prepared for and responded to the pro-Trump rally that preceded the deadly riot. Questions to be answered include how the Capitol, with so many security agencies available, could be overcome by a mob with bats, beer repellent, plastic handcuffs, and simply brute force. But beyond questions of poor planning and failure to heed clear advance warnings that a violent uprising would take place, there have been reports that some lawmakers may have somehow abetted the mob attack. Some reportedly provided tours of the Capitol the day before the attack to individuals who used those visits as reconnaissance to determine who was where and how to get there. Meanwhile, Democrats have called for allegations that GOP members of Congress encouraged the attempted insurrection. Their accomplices in this House will be held responsible, Representative Gerald Nadler said in a speech during the impeachment debate. Representative Mickey Sherrill said in a Facebook Live broadcast that she saw Republicans who had groups coming through the Capitol that I saw on January 5th for reconnaissance for the next day. She said some of her GOP colleagues abetted Trump and incited this violent crowd. I'm going to see that they are held accountable and, if necessary, ensure that they don't serve in Congress, she said. Representative Lauren Boebert, the Republican from Colorado, who carries a Glock and supports the QAnon movement, was reported to be one of those providing recon tours for individuals who participated in the riots. She is facing a backlash for live tweeting House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's location during the attack. Shortly after Trump supporters stormed the Capitol, Boebert tweeted, "We were locked in the House chambers. The Speaker has been removed from the chambers," said one Twitter user. FBI, please arrest Lauren Boebert for aiding and abetting those who were hunting down Speaker Pelosi on January 6th by tweeting the Speaker's whereabouts. She's 5 feet tall, 100 pounds, and carries a Glock, and won't stop telling everyone. Another Twitter user cited the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, stating, no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. You can't get more explicit than that, tweeted a third. Expulsion of Boebert is only the start. Indictment has to follow quickly. One Democratic Congresswoman, Representative Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, said the panic buttons installed in her office suite in case of emergency had been ripped out. That report is now being investigated, according to her office. Every panic button in my office had been torn out, the whole unit, Chief of Staff Sarah Groh told the Boston Globe. Obviously, assuming that was related to the insurrectionist attack, it had to be premeditated and likely either performed by or facilitated by individuals with access to the lawmaker's locked office. And while all of this was happening, Senator Josh Hawley, the Republican from Missouri, who started the Republican opposition to seating Biden's electors, was photographed giving a clenched fist salute to the rioters. Hawley was the first senator to support efforts by GOP House members to challenge Biden electors, an act that made the entire charade on January 6 possible, as without support from at least one senator, House members' objections would have fallen flat. But his self-serving actions have backfired, showing that he badly miscalculated the political wisdom of going to the mat for Trump at the expense of the Republic. Trump can now be called the biggest loser, with Hawley close behind. Presumed to be running for president in 2024, Hawley has lost major donors and supporters and a book deal. His home state newspaper said he had blood in his hands. Thousands of law school alumni and students have pushed for him to be disbarred, and at least one Democratic senator has called for his resignation, reported the Washington Post. The fact that he broke the dam, so to speak, in the Senate led to other opportunists like Senator Ted Cruz of Texas jumping on the bandwagon, and then eventually to several more GOP senators who pushed the false Trump narrative of election fraud, giving credence to his claims and spurring on the right-wing crazies who took up the defeated president's call to fight. So was it an inside job that day when at least 5 people, including 2 police officers and a QAnon supporter, died in a violent mob attack? When legislators led those would-be terrorists on their Capitol tours on January the 5th, were they just being nice to encourage the support of constituents? Or did they know what they were doing? And were they part of the planning that led to the death and destruction that fateful day? When Hawley and Cruz and the others who insisted on objecting to the Biden electors in key states did that, they had to know their actions would have consequences. And then, even after the riot, Hawley doubled down, unapologetic about questioning the election results. He did that despite Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's warning that the end result of their gambit, if successful, would be to send democracy into a death spiral. We may never know how close we were to McConnell's prescient warning coming to pass. There were terrorists within the group who intended to harm targeted lawmakers and even lynch Vice President Pence because, as Trump said, he had failed to show courage and overturn the election as he had demanded. Trump will soon be gone, but the consequences of this tragedy will remain. And to think that representatives and senators elected by the people who serve with some of those targeted may have been complicit in this traitorous and deadly tragedy is almost too much to contemplate. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you like our content and our podcast, please follow NFN Radio News so you don't miss an episode. And check out notfakenews.biz too. There's new material just about every day, and we've got some really good writers with perspectives on a whole range of topics. So take a minute to sign up as a member at notfakenews.biz. And of course, it's all free. And it'd be great if you'd let your friends know about this podcast and about notfakenews.biz. Our goal is to be informative and entertaining, and you'll also find us to be cynical and sarcastic, even humorous, from time to time, as we comment on the latest developments in the news with just a little lean to the left. And check out Hijacked Nation, Donald Trump's attack on America's greatness, our new book from Not Fake News. You can find it for under $5 on Kindle and in paperback on Amazon.com. It's a terrific book with commentary on key developments over the past 3 years and demonstrating how this president has indeed hijacked our nation. So thanks for listening, and check back with us tomorrow for more. This is Bob Gaddy signing off for NFN Radio News and NotFakeNews.biz.